Well, single women have become one of the fastest growing segments of the 2021 home buying market, and the condominium form of real estate ownership is particularly suited to a single female buyer for a variety of reasons. And among those tend to be enforced maintenance, better location, lower price. There's a lot of things that are to their advantage. And John Adams joins us now with 6 tips for single women as they approach the task of buying their first home. John, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Buck. I am great. You know, this is a major change in real estate buying patterns. We are now seeing single women in their late 20s, early 30s step up to the plate and say, I'm ready to buy a house. I'm not waiting for somebody else. Let's go ahead and do this thing. So it really has been a growing force in residential real estate.
You got 6 points here, and we're going to run out of time if we don't get to them quickly. So let's start with number 1, which is very important. We're talking about safety.
Safety, safety, safety. You know, we all hear about location, but it's not just location. It's also about safety. Is this a gated community? Do they have a security system? And, you know, you're tempted sometimes to get that unit on the ground floor because you have an additional entrance, but that may not be the safest. So all these things need to go into consideration.
Number 2 is a 5-year plan. What do you mean by that?
Well, we talk about financial stages in our life, and the late 20s, early 30s tends to be tumultuous. So where are you going to be in 5 years? Your best guess right now may be wrong, but at least it's a guess. And you may be happily single right now. 5 years from now, you may be married, have a baby on the way. Change is constant. Think about that now.
Maintaining a cash cushion is number 3, very important.
You know, I don't want anybody to be cash strapped. And this is very important. With these low interest rates, Buck, the affordability has gone sky high. Still, be conservative if you're the only one who's going to be responsible for paying the principal, interest, association fee, the assessments, property taxes, all of these things. Avoid any situation where you might end up cash strapped.
You talk about the association rules, and sometimes those are not all created equally. So how important is it to understand the flexibility of those rules?
Buck, this is vital because every condominium has different rules and bylaws, and you need to understand those very clearly because once you're an owner, you've bought into those. You've said, yes, I will live by this. They may not allow rentals. They may not allow pets. They may not allow children. Find out what you're getting into because you need to be able to rent at some point in the future. You need to know what you're getting into.
You mentioned that cash cushion, and that kind of plays along into this one. Your 5th point is plan for the worst and hope for the best.
You know, anytime you get a mortgage, you're taking on a big financial commitment here, probably the biggest you'll ever take on. And what is the worst case scenario? If you're carrying that full housing expense by yourself and you don't have assets that outweigh the liabilities, you are potentially subject to foreclosure. We don't want that to happen. So make sure you have contingency plans. What would happen if I wasn't able to make the payments? Plan for the worst, hope for the best.
Your final point, the noise factor. What do you mean by that?
You know, in many of these older renovated buildings, they're very charming, but they were not built to contain sound. And so you can hear your neighbors sneezing and coughing in the middle of the night, and maybe worse. New construction tends to have more emphasis on noise reduction. They put actually noise-reducing baffles in the walls. And so you just make sure you know what you're getting into. I would recommend you go there in the evening and listen to see if the neighbor's television is broadcasting into your unit.
Sneezing, coughing may be worse. All right, John, you're going to stick around, right?
Yes, sir. I'll be right here.
All right. Thanks for your time as always. And John's going to stick around. He'll be here for the next hour to answer all of your real estate questions on our Fox 5 Atlanta Facebook page.